Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. After winning the NBA championship last season, the Denver Nuggets lost Bruce Brown, who was third in total minutes on their team last year, and Jeff Green, who was eighth in total minutes last year, to free agency, and they really did not have the facilities to replace these two players. So in today's video, we're going to be analyzing the new potential sixth man on the Denver Nuggets, Christian Braun, going into his second season in order to determine, can Christian Braun step up and ball out in his sophomore season for the Denver Nuggets? Christian Braun was a very intriguing prospect in the 2022 NBA draft, as he was getting a lot of Trevor Ariza comparisons. Not only was he very good on the defensive side of the ball, but he was very prolific on the offensive side of the ball in that championship season with Kansas as well, averaging 35 minutes per game, and in 35 minutes per game, 14 points per game, 3 assists per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, on 49.5% from the field, and 38% from three. The reason he fell to the 21st pick in the NBA draft was because he was a junior coming out of college, and the NBA really does have a bias against older players entering the draft. Now, this, of course, was a blessing in disguise, not only for Christian Braun going to a great organization and a team that would go on to win the championship, but this was also a blessing in disguise for the Denver Nuggets, as they got absolutely nothing out of Reggie Jackson, and they really needed a guard off the bench to step up in that championship run, specifically in that Miami Heat series, and that's exactly what Christian Braun did, having that phenomenal 15-point, 7 from 8 from the field performance in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Not only this, but in the playoffs in total, he had 13 minutes per game, and in 13 minutes per game, he shot 53% from the field with 3.2 points per game, but more importantly, he was an absolute menace on the defensive side of the ball, having multiple 3-steal games in the playoffs last year. Now, analyzing his rookie season, I think he really summed it up in a good quote that I'll read to you guys in a second, but overall, he had some struggles, as he did struggle to crack the rotation in the beginning and middle part of the season, but he definitely turned it on before the playoffs, which gave him and the Nuggets a lot of confidence going into their championship playoff run. And overall, in 76 games, he averaged 15.5 minutes per game, 49.5% from the field, such an efficient player, especially attacking the basket, 35% from 3, 4.7 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, and overall being such a positive on the defensive end. Recently, when interviewed by Denver media, he said, "Last year, my role was to cut, make layups, and shoot wide open ones. This year, I'm going to have an opportunity to show other things," and he went on in this interview to talk about how Bruce Brown had a significant role in the ball handling coming off the bench, and that was a role he was going to fit into very nicely, as he really did not get to display his playmaking skills and his ball handling in his rookie season. No matter how Christian Braun looks at the beginning of the season on the offensive side, he's going to have a significant role with the Denver Nuggets, specifically coming off the bench. Why do I say that? It's because of his defense. He really is such a high effort, high IQ defender, reading the passing lanes consistently. He's also very quick, not only with his hand speed, but with his foot speed as well, allowing him to keep up laterally with some of the quicker, smaller guards in the NBA. Now, it's one thing to have a high basketball IQ on the defensive end, and it's another thing when you pair that high basketball IQ and that high effort with the correct frame to execute at such a high level, and that's exactly what is the case with Christian Braun. Now, he's listed at 6'6", 220 pounds, which is a phenomenal frame for a wing defender in the NBA, but honestly, he looks more like he's about 6'7" to 6'8" to me, in my opinion, as consistently he was standing next to Bam Adebayo in the NBA Finals, and honestly, it seems as though Bam was barely taller than him. You can make the argument that Christian Braun is the second best defender on this entire Denver Nuggets team, and honestly, with Michael Porter Jr. not being a good defender, I would not be surprised consistently in late game lineups if they don't need that offensive spark and they need that defensive wing. Honestly, guys, Christian Braun is going to be getting minutes over Michael Porter Jr. in those late game scenarios, as again, Christian Braun has a higher basketball IQ than Michael Porter Jr., and overall, he's a much better defender. And considering he still isn't going to be asked to do a significant amount on the offensive side, they have no issue with having Christian Braun guard the opposing team's best player, and he even did that sometimes in the NBA Finals, picking up Jimmy Butler. So no matter what, Christian Braun is going to emerge as a high-level wing defender in the NBA with his frame, basketball IQ, and overall effort. But now let's dive into Christian Braun as an offensive player, and this is where, again, I start to get excited. He's extremely confident and aggressive, yet calculated around the basket with really nice touch. He was often asked to run the baseline in his rookie season, and he was consistently getting easy layups around the rim, reading tricky zone defenses in the NBA, finding the soft spot for an easy two. Not only is his cuts to the basket very good, but overall his off-ball movement is very good for a young player in the NBA, as he was consistently wide open from three. Obviously, teams were daring him to shoot as they have an excellent offense, and at the end of the day, last season, they wanted Christian Braun over any other player to shoot on that Denver team. But regardless of this, still, he was doing a good job at finding that soft spot in the zone on the perimeter and finding open three opportunities with their phenomenal passer that is Nikola Jokic. But where Christian Braun really can emerge as one of the better six-man in the NBA is going to be his three-point shot. He only shot 35% from three last year, but overall in his Kansas career, he shot about 38% from three, and he did have a season shooting above 40% from three. His three-point game, in his own words, has always been his greatest attribute, and he does have a very natural shot. So in my opinion, we're only going to see a progression and an increase in percentage with Christian Braun's three-point opportunities and overall three-point percentage. If I had to give an official prediction on a stat line for Christian Braun this season, I'm not too sure how many minutes he's going to be getting this season, but for a per 36 average this season, he's going to put up 12 points per game, 38% from three, which is a really nice progression, 5.5 rebounds per game, and 3.5 assists per game. Overall, stuffing the stat sheet on the offensive side and being very impactful on the defensive side. Thanks for watching today's episode of Mike Talk Sports. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with my take with Christian Braun that he's going to step up big time in his sophomore season? And overall, are you guys concerned or not about the Nuggets' lack of depth this season? And should they still trade for a sixth man? Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, smack that like and hit subscribe.